career consulting, and today I'm going to talk about achievement, part of our rule of three. When we're trying to achieve some goal or some objective, and I use this a lot in my workshops, talking to people about getting a job or doing something. Most people come to me and they say, Mr. Moore, I just want a job. And I say, there is no such thing as a job. There is a service that you can bring to bear to assist somebody who has a problem, and you can solve that problem. That problem solving may be be a typist, be a secretary, to be a code writer for a computer company, to be an engineer. The skills that you have as an engineer make you the problem solver for the company that is looking for the engineer to solve their problem. That is what a job is. That is what the goal is, okay? There is no abstraction of a job as such, okay? So it's very important when you prepare to go after something to have a clear idea, as clear as you can, what it is that you want to do. And a lot of times we forget that to ask ourselves those fundamental questions. What do I really want to do? And sometimes this takes us a long time to figure out because we don't ask that question enough. We are constantly being pulled along by events, by pressures from other people, by competition with other people, until such a time as we don't realize or even bother to ask ourselves, well, maybe I should be doing this or I want to do this. Where we spend much of our life following behind somebody else, trying to please somebody by doing these works or whatever it is. And as a result, when we do come to a situation, we go for a job, an application comes up, we fill it out, we go to the interview, and the person says, the first question they ask is, why do you want this job? And you say, well, because the salary is good, because it's near home, I can get the bus, and I can wear a nice suit. And the person says, wrong answer, on your bike, next. You have to be clear, therefore, about what it is you want. Because if you don't know what you want, when you get whatever it is, it may not be what you have intended. And that's another aspect. We talked about in one of our other workshops about happiness. People say, I want to be happy. Okay, here's a whole bunch of money. Are you happy now? Well, no, I could need more money. So what makes you happy? If you haven't defined it, you don't know if you've got it. So the first thing you have to ask yourself is, what is it that I do want? What was the outcome? What does it look like? You know, an experiment that I did when I was looking for a house, I sat down with my wife and we wrote down, before we even had the money or anything, we wrote down all the things that we wanted in our ideal house. And we kept thinking about it and everything like that. And when we went looking for a property, we kept looking at our list. These are the things that we had already decided would make us happy if we had this. After a period of time, we accumulated the money and we had the opportunity to find a place which actually happened to be very near where we were already living, okay? And it had everything but a swimming pool in it. We had the bathrooms, we had the bedrooms, we had the space in the garden, we had a car park, all of these various things. We had one thing that wasn't there. In fact, we had a fishing pond, so I guess that could qualify for a swimming pool for fish anyway. The point is that we made a decision and we made a list and we focused on that so that we knew what we did want and what we didn't want. There were lots of places we went to look for and they didn't have half of these things. So we said, no, we don't want that, okay? As a result, I still live in my house. I love it, okay? I'll probably die in my house. It's a great place. So you have to know what you want. The second thing you have to know is, how do we know we're getting it? Or how do we know that we're going in that direction? When we go to college, they say it's going to be a 4-year course. You're going to take all of these classes, all right? And at the end of every semester or every year, they give you a test. And you say, oh, I got it. I got a good mark. That means I understand 70, 80% of it. I'm moving in the direction that I need to be going, okay? I have it quantifiably in my hands. I know that this is where I'm going and this is what I'm needing, okay? So you've got a measurement system. You have to know, if you're going to buy a car and you're going to save up some money over a period of time to get this car, you've got to know that you can calculate, all right, in X amount of months or years I'm going to have the money, but every month or year you've got to check. Is the money still there? Have I been continuously working on this thing, okay? You've got to be able to measure, because it may turn out that after you've laid it all out and you think about it and you've set it in motion, after the first 2 steps, you realize it's not going to work because another factor came in that you couldn't control. So you have to reevaluate. And if you're not looking at what you've planned and reevaluating it from different points of view as you change, as the circumstances change, you're going to lose track of it. And before you know it, there's a name of a book called, we forgot, when you're fighting with alligators, it's a good point to remind yourself that your original idea was just to drain the swamp. And this happens to us all the time. We start on something, and we get distracted, we get distracted, we get distracted. Before we know it, a week down the road, a month down the road, a year down the road, we're into something completely different, and we've lost track of what our original goal was. Because we think, oh, well, I guess if I've got to take care of this, we've got to take care of this. Computer internet is a classic case now. You start on a project, and unless you're very clear about what it is that you want, you're just going to answer my emails, I'm going to say this to so-and-so, I'm going to do this, I'm going to check the news, you're going to check this. Before you know it, you've got all of these distractions coming in. Before you know, you're looking at all this other stuff, downloading this, looking at other videos, doing all sorts of things. An hour goes by, and you suddenly wake up out of your haze, and you say, what was it that I came here to do? What was I... Oh, that's right, emails. I'm just going to check my emails. All right, let's get back, let's get focused there, We have to, particularly these days, be very, very clear, because there is a whole bunch of people out there trying to get our attention, not for your benefit, but for theirs, okay? I'd like to admit that I am wanting your attention too, but I'm hoping, and I'm presenting it in such a way as to say, look, this is in your interest, all right? Hear this out. Use it for your benefit. And the benefit is to be clear what it is that you want, what that outcome is, and how you're measuring it. Because the third step in this process of achieving something is to ask yourself, at a time when you've measured out and you've said it's going to, at a certain point, the end of the year, 2 years' time, does it meet the outcome? Is this effort that I put in, is this taking these exams to get a job, going to all these various interviews, learning all about it, researching this particular company, preparing myself for this position. Have all these things come and do they fulfill the outcome that I had in mind? Now, there may be small modifications, but you've got to have had a pretty clear idea to begin with, okay? What is that outcome? And if it is not that, you have to have the courage and the flexibility to change. A personal example, I'm an engineer for a number of years. I got laid off from that position because of the economy collapsing. I was working for the government. I decided, okay, I'll try solar energy. It's all the rage. I'll go out there. I took a course, spent my money, studied it, came out after a month with my little certificate, thought, okay, now I know all about it. I got all the literature, and I figured as an engineer, I could easily make that transition, okay? I did. I went looking for a job. I'm a qualified person. I can articulate what I know. I can solve people's problems. I know what the problems are now, okay? No work, nothing. I tried for 2 or 3 months. Nothing out there. Nothing out there at all. I read all the leaves and the tea leaves, and I looked at the way the government was withdrawing their subsidies and how a lot of these companies were withdrawing with changing their whole system as to how they were going to do this business because they didn't have the money and the government had given up sort of supporting it, okay? So I had to face the reality. It's still a great idea. I've got the skills. It's something that I would love to do. I think I felt qualified to do it. And it was something that I saw an outcome for. But it didn't work. It just didn't work. And I had to own up to that. Instead of crying in my beer and saying, it's not fair, I did all this work and now there's no positions, I had to turn around. So I said, okay, I'll do it myself. Got my cards, went out and published my cards, got my little business cards, went door to door telling people I could help them with weatherizing and doing all sorts of things, okay? Give it another couple of months, nothing happening. Is that my fault? Is it the government's fault? Is it the Republicans' fault? No, that's business. That's how things are. And you have to recognize it and say, all right, what can I do? All right, what can I do to change this? I still want to be employed. I still want to do so. I got all this energy to do stuff. So I decided to become a teacher. So I took some courses. I went and started volunteering in various places. Another year went by while I was just learning this. Not making any money, just barely getting through. But I finally realized that this is what I wanted to do. And the opportunities came because I was focused on it. And every time I came and volunteered, people saw my intention, my desire to do a good job. As a result, people recommended me to other places that became paying positions. So I was fortunate in that kind of case, but it's an example of having to be flexible. I didn't know 2 years prior to becoming a teacher that that's what I would end up being. But I kept trying things out. And you have to be able to be flexible and change as the circumstances change. Now, I know for many people, they're not capable of that or they don't feel comfortable doing that. But that is the economy that we live in today. And until we have a more community-based economic and political system, that's how it's going to be, okay? So you have to face up to that. And you have to, if you can find people you can work with, then by all means work together. You know, that will make things a lot easier. But you've still got to put the drive in. You've still got to have an outcome. You've still got to have a clear idea where you're putting your energies, what problems you're solving, how you're measuring how you're solving these problems, and how you're getting compensated for it. And if it does meet, and you've got to be very strict with yourself and honest and say, does it meet the outcome that I had in mind? Within a certain range. It's never going to be perfect, obviously, but within a certain range. And if it isn't, you got to change. That's the way the world is. That's the way we humans are. We created this world like this, okay? So, again, rule of achievement, know what you want. Have a system by which you can measure it, okay? And if it doesn't meet the outcome that you have intended, change, be flexible, okay? All right, this is Ian Moore for more career consulting. Until next time, be well.